So, you've been playing the character and providing the voice of Tiffany for nearly 20 years now.
Yes.
What is it about her you think works so well within the Chucky universe?
Well, you know what? Before Tiffany, Chucky was just sort of a loner. He was just this murdering person that was going around and killing people and then cackling. And then he met Tiffany, and you get introduced to a softer side. Like, he has something that he wants now. Like, he wants Tiffany to respect him and make him Swedish meatballs. And, you know, he wants that good doll sex, which he has with Tiffany. And then they have children, and then he becomes a father, and he wants Glenda to grow up to be like a nice murdering boy after his own heart. But then Tiffany wants Glenda to be a girl. So I think that it just gives him a little bit of humanity. And the two of them are very funny together because Tiffany gets very excited when Chucky kills people in very creative ways. So he sort of had to reach outside of his comfort zone. Like before, he would just kill people with the knife, and then he just had to think of more creative ways to kill people. So Tiffany would be like excited. But I think the reason why the Chucky movies have endured so long is because there's always surprises. Like Don Mancini is always zigging when you think he's going to zag and just coming up with like really funny, interesting twists and turns. And so I think that's why it has such a rabid fan base, is people just can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Because it's not like a lot of times when people make sequels, they just do a retread of the movie that you already saw, and that gets tired very fast. But this movie is constantly reinventing itself.
Do you think that's why the franchise has gone on for so long? I mean,
30 years.
I know,
yes. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 years, but it's been going on for 30 years. I think the first Chucky movie was way, way, way back when I was, you know, a little child. Yeah. I hate when people say to me, I used to run home after school to watch you on TV. I was like, oh my God, you so did not. You're not younger than me. So
Did you actually ever get to work with Brad Dourif? Because it's just mostly your voices.
Yes, actually the very first movie that I did, they brought me in to do the voiceover of Tiffany before I actually shot the movie. And they had me and Brad in a room recording together. And they did a thing that we could overlap each other, so we could ad-lib if he wanted to say something or I wanted to say something that wasn't in the script. We were doing a lot of improvisation, and we just bounced off of each other really well. And at the end of the movie, my character dies, and she says to him, she says, "We belong dead," and it's a really sad moment. I looked over, and Brad Dourif had tears rolling down his cheeks. And when I just recently saw that movie, and I could just hear the sadness in my voice when I was saying "We belong dead." I got really weepy, even though it was just a doll saying to another doll that they didn't deserve to be alive. And so he's an amazing actor, and it's really great. I always look forward to when I go in and do the Tiffany voices alongside Brad, because I do a lot of voiceovers. I was in Monsters, Inc. I was Celia, and I have a regular part on Family Guy, but you never see the other actors. I mean, you just go in and record by yourself. So the Chucky movie is unusual in that you record with the other actor.
And for the future, it looks like your character could be involved in future installments in a new...
Well, yes, you never know. I think, you know, the fans love Tiffany in doll form, and I really think that Tiffany is probably going to continue on. I don't think that Tiffany is going to be relegated to the upper shelf of the Chucky series, because the fans really do love Tiffany. I know the last movie was all Chucky and no Tiffany, but, you know, maybe there'll be a movie that's all Tiffany and not very much Chucky.
I mean, the new film has gone, it's kind of been a balance between horror and comedy, whereas others, like the previous one, was darker and Bride was like lighter and Seed was lighter. Do you think this series has trouble in retaining a lot of its original elements to cling to the fans?
Well, I don't think so. I think what happened was they did 3 Chucky movies, and then they did Bride of Chucky, which I think is kind of a masterpiece in the horror genre. It was directed by Ronnie Yu, who did a lot of the Hong Kong films, and we had like an Academy Award-winning cinematographer. And I think at that point, Don was saying, you know what, the whole horror movie franchise is sort of played out. And so he just decided to go with a more comedic version of Chucky and, you know, entered Miss Tilly, stage right, that's me. And so I think when I came on, the show became a lot funnier and a lot campier, and the fans loved it. And then Universal said that they wanted to go back to being more horrifying. And so with Curse of Chucky, that was a really, really dark film, and it was quite brilliant, and they're continuing in that genre with Cult of Chucky. They wanted to continue being very dark, but there are flashes of black humor in it, dark humor, because Don Mancini, who wrote the Chucky movies, has a great sense of humor. So there is humor, but they're a lot more frightening than Seed of Chucky or Bride of Chucky, which were more of a giddy romp through popular culture.
Considering like the Elm Street franchise has died and Halloween's died, yet Chucky's still making sequels to the original one.
I think one of the keys is Don Mancini, who wrote the first one 30 years ago, has written every single Chucky movie. And he loves horror films. Like, he introduced me to his love of horror films. We're very good friends, and we've seen The Omen together. And there's so many movies we'll always go. Whenever there's a new horror movie, we'll go and see it. And so in his films, there's a lot of homage to films that have gone before. Like, he's a big Brian De Palma fan. And, you know, he'll do little references. If you love the horror genre, you'll always see them in his films. But I think he makes the kind of movie that he would like to see. And he's very conscious of the fans. And especially you'll see in this film, there's a lot of things that the fans will absolutely go crazy for, because he knows what they want to see, and he brings it.
How did you find working with Fiona as well?
Fiona's amazing, and I love her. I was in the last movie, Curse of Chucky, but we didn't have any scenes together. And this movie, we have scenes together, and she's fantastic to work with. She's such a good actress. I mean, I love her. She's fantastic.
Yeah. And you could be working with her in future. Do you think there'd be a chance of a sequel?
Well, I'm sure there will be a sequel. There is always a sequel. I say the only thing that can kill Chucky is bad box office, and that hasn't happened. I think there's going to be Chucky movies for the next 30 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey